She was betrayed by the one she trusted most, abandoned when she was at her weakest, but fate had been watching in silence. What if the coldest, most untouchable CEO in the city had been loving her from the shadows all along? Before this story breaks your heart and heals it, subscribe to this channel now, because stories like this don't just entertain, they change you. After the night she was backstabbed, everything in Lin Xinyue's life shattered at once, not loudly, not dramatically, but in a cruel, suffocating silence that followed the soft click of a door closing behind her. The door of the office where she had just overheard her fiancé and her best friend laughing together, discussing how foolish she was, how convenient her devotion had been, how easily she had handed over her designs, her research, her late nights, her loyalty, only for them to steal her work, frame her for embezzlement, and discard her like a broken tool. The rain outside was relentless, soaking her thin coat as she stumbled into the neon-lit street, her phone buzzing non-stop with messages that went unanswered, her reputation collapsing in real time as colleagues blocked her, investors withdrew, and her name, once whispered with respect, became synonymous with scandal. And in that moment, trembling under the streetlight, Xinyue didn't cry because shock had frozen her tears, and all she could think was that she had been stupid to believe love could be gentle, that loyalty would be returned, that kindness wasn't a weakness others would exploit, and she might have disappeared completely that night if not for a black car stopping silently beside her, its windows tinted like secrets, the door opening without a word, and a man stepping out whose presence seemed to bend the air around him. Ji Hanshin, the coldest CEO in the capital, a man rumored to have no heart, no mercy, and no interest in women or emotion, the man whose name alone could make boardrooms fall silent, and yet there he was, holding an umbrella over her shaking body as if she were something fragile, something precious, telling her calmly that she would catch a fever, that she should get in the car, that he could take her home, and she laughed bitterly then, a hollow sound, asking why someone like him would care, and he didn't answer, only looked at her with eyes that carried a depth she couldn't read, eyes that lingered a second too long as if memorizing her face, and because she had nothing left to lose, she got into the car, not knowing that this single decision would change the trajectory of her life, because what Xinyue didn't know, what no one knew, was that Ji Hanshin had been watching her for 7 years, ever since the day she had anonymously donated her prize money to save a stranger's younger sister from surgery debt, ever since she had stood up in a conference room to defend a junior employee at the cost of her own promotion, ever since she had smiled through exhaustion and still chosen integrity when corruption offered her shortcuts, and Ji Hanshin, who had grown up in betrayal, who had learned early that affection was transactional and trust was a liability, had fallen for her quietly, painfully, without permission, watching her from afar, investing in companies she worked for just to ensure her ideas were protected, shutting down rumors before they reached her ears, and when she was finally destroyed by those closest to her, he arrived, not as a savior demanding gratitude, but as a shield offering silence, and so Xinyue moved into a guest suite of his vast, cold mansion, believing it was temporary, believing she was merely hiding from the storm, unaware that every detail of the room, the warm lighting, the books she loved, the tea she preferred, had been prepared long before she arrived, and days passed where he barely spoke, leaving early, returning late, treating her with distant politeness that confused her more than cruelty would have, and when the news worsened, when arrest rumors surfaced and online abuse intensified, Ji Hanshin made her an offer that sounded unreal. A contractual marriage, a public alliance that would silence speculation, protect her legally, and give her time to recover, insisting there would be boundaries, no emotional obligations, no expectations, and Xinyue, wounded and cornered, agreed not because she trusted him, but because she was too tired to fight, and the world exploded when the announcement broke. The infamous CEO marrying a disgraced woman overnight, media calling it a business move, rivals mocking him, her former fiancé sneering that she had sold herself for protection, not knowing that the moment Ji Hanshin signed the papers, he had quietly instructed his legal team to reopen every case connected to her downfall, tracing money trails, surveillance, deleted files, assembling the truth piece by piece like a patient hunter. While at home, Xinyue struggled with nightmares, waking up gasping, reliving the laughter behind the door, and each time, without a word, Ji Hanshin would appear, standing silently nearby, handing her water, never touching unless she reached out first, never asking questions she wasn't ready to answer. And slowly, against her will, the walls around her heart began to crack, because he remembered things no one else did. How she hated overly sweet desserts, how she worked better with instrumental music, how thunderstorms made her uneasy. And one night, when she finally asked him why he was doing all this, why he would tie himself to someone so broken, Ji Hanshin answered honestly for the first time, telling her that some people don't fall in love loudly, that some love grows in the dark, fed by admiration, respect, and patience, and that he had never expected her to return his feelings, only to be safe, and that confession shattered her composure more violently than betrayal ever had, because it was pure, because it asked for nothing. And just as Shinue began to feel hope again, the story twisted cruelly. Her former best friend staged an attempted suicide, blaming Shinue in a public video, claiming guilt and pressure, turning public sympathy violently against her again. Sponsors withdrew from Ji Hanshin's company, shareholders revolted, and Shinue, convinced she was poison to everyone she touched, packed her bags to leave without goodbye, believing she was doing the right thing, only to be stopped at the gate by Ji Hanshin himself, his composure finally cracking as he asked her, quietly but desperately, if she truly believed he would abandon her just because the world was loud. And when she answered through tears that she couldn't bear to be the reason he was hurt, Ji Hanshin revealed the final truth, that the suicide attempt was staged, that evidence was already submitted, that the net was closing, and that he had endured worse storms than this long before he met her, but he had never once regretted choosing her, and for the first time, he held her tightly, as if afraid she would disappear. And days later, the truth detonated across every platform: recordings, bank transfers, confessions, exposing the real villains, leading to arrests, public apologies, irreversible downfall. And when Shinue was officially cleared, when her name was restored, she stood at a press conference shaking, ready to speak. But Ji Hanshin took her hand openly, a simple gesture that silenced the room. And Shinue realized then that the coldest man in the city had the warmest heart she had ever known. Not because he rescued her, but because he believed in her when she could not believe in herself. And in the quiet aftermath, when fame faded and wounds slowly healed, she asked him why he never told her sooner, why he loved her in silence for so long. And Ji Hanshin answered that real love is not possession, that it is protection without interference, presence without pressure, and patience without expectation. And as she leaned into him, finally safe, finally home, Shinue understood that sometimes betrayal does not end a story. It sharpens it, carving the path toward a love so deep, so unwavering, that it can only be seen after everything else falls apart.